Hey y'all, welcome to Back Porch Cooking and Reminiscing. I'm Roger and I'm happy to have y'all here with us today.
That hickory smoke is hanging low and sweet. Rocking chair keeps that laid back beat. Got that beating condensation on a mason jar of tea. Ain't another single place I'd ever rather be. Yeah, the sun is setting gold and pink across the land, with a full plate and a cold glass sitting in my hand. Nothing better than this back porch kind of living. This back porch kind of living.
So y'all, Audrey was going to make us a pie to have for later on tonight, and she wasn't going to film it. So I caught her just in the nick of time and said, hey, we need to do a video on this. And now what we're calling it is a Run for the Roses pie. You may also know it as a Kentucky bourbon pecan pie. That's what we're going to be making. And y'all sit back, relax, get you something cold to drink, and we're going to get started making this Run for the Roses pie. All right, so to make this pie, first thing we're doing is we're preheating our oven to 350 degrees. And we've got our unbaked pie shell over here, and we got it on a tray to keep it, just in case it were to run over, that we don't have a mess in the oven. In this bowl, we've got 2 eggs beaten, 1 cup of sugar, a half a cup of butter melted. And now you don't want to use hot butter in with your eggs, or it's going to cook your eggs. So let your butter cool down just a little bit before you put it in there. To this mixture, we're going to add a half a cup of self-rising flour. And one good thing about this recipe is that you don't have to have a mixer or anything like that. You can do this recipe just with a spoon and your bowl and your hand. So that's the great thing about it. So we're just going to mix that around till we get that flour incorporated into that butter, sugar, and eggs. We've about got that. I'm just scraping down the sides to make sure we get all that flour up there. And now we're going to add in a cup of pecans, or you can use walnuts. And these are kind of chopped, so we're just going to add those in. And then we're going to add in 1 cup of chocolate chips. And then we're going to give that a good stir around again. Get it incorporated in. Now we're going to put our vanilla in. And we've got 1 teaspoon of vanilla. There's our teaspoon of vanilla. And then we're going to use a little bit of Kentucky bourbon. And we're going to do about a teaspoon of that Kentucky bourbon. Now, y'all, the alcohol in this cooks out. It's just something to give it a little bit of flavor. So we're just going to mix that vanilla and that little bit of bourbon in. We got that all incorporated in. And then next thing we're going to do is we're just going to pour it in this pie crust. So we'll get our pie crust over here. And we're just going to pour it right in there. And I can't wait to try this. This should be delicious. And that's all that there is to this pie. Now we're going to put this in this oven and we're going to bake it until, says about 50 minutes on the recipe. So that's what we're going to be looking at, is about 50 minutes. While our pie is in the oven baking, let's talk about a little history on this Run for the Roses pie, or traditional Kentucky bourbon pecan pie. It says when you take a bite of this pie, you're tasting a story that goes back centuries right here in the American South. It starts with the pecan, the only tree nut native to North America. Long before European settlers arrived, native tribes along southern riverbanks were cultivating wild pecans, passing that rich, buttery nut down through the generations. By the late 1800s, Southern bakers were stirring those native pecans into their classic sugar and chess pie bases. But the real game changer happened right there in the bluegrass state. Kentucky sits on a natural bed of limestone, producing pure iron-free water that gives us Kentucky bourbon. As that whiskey ages in charred oak barrels, it develops deep notes of vanilla, caramel, and oak. Local cooks realized that adding a splash of bourbon wasn't just for flavor, it cut through the heavy sweetness of the syrup and balanced out the rich custard filling. By the mid 20th century, adding chocolate chips and bourbon to a pecan pie became the ultimate first Saturday in May tradition. It's a staple of Kentucky hospitality, baked in homes all across the state to celebrate the big race. So when you combine native pecans, real Kentucky bourbon, and rich dark chocolate into a flaky crust, you aren't just making dessert, you're baking a piece of Southern heritage. So, a little bit of history about a Run for the Roses pie or traditional Kentucky bourbon pecan pie. Our pie is out of the oven and it looks wonderful and it smells even better. So we're going to let it sit here and cool for a while. And once it gets good and cooled down, we're going to slice us a piece of it and we're going to give it a try. Here's our slice of Run for the Roses pie. It looks delicious and I can't wait to try it. So I got our piece of Run for the Roses pie or Kentucky bourbon pecan pie, whatever you want to call it. And I am ready to taste it. Guys, that's good. So the top on this is got a good crunchy crust to it. Then you can taste that chocolate and the pecans, and you got just a ever so subtle hint of that bourbon that we put in there. The center of it is a gooey consistency. It is so good. So guys, if y'all are looking for a good dessert, this is definitely a good one. So I hope you'll make it for your family, share it with your friends. And guys, remember, hit that like and subscribe button for me if you haven't already. Click on that bell so you get notifications when we do a new video. And telling you, y'all need to try this. All right, y'all have a good night, and we will see you in a day or so, and we'll get another video put out there for you. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it.